guys, today, as I said in the last video, I'm doing USS Yorktown CV-10, the history of the fighting lady. This is made by Douglas W. Bostick. As I said, I actually slept in the USS Yorktown. It was kind of cool. And yeah, so today we are going to be reading Chapter Uno. Um, 5 to 10, so it's only 5 pages, but yeah. USS Yorktown CV-5. In the late 19th century, the U.S. military developed balloon carriers. One sec. Finally, we can see. Sorry guys. Picture. That's the USS Yorktown. And then I think there's someone steering it. In the late 19th century, the U.S. military developed balloon carriers used to launch observation balloons. With the development of fixed-wing aircraft, this concept of naval support was quickly obsolete. The introduction of fixed-wing aircraft allowed the military to develop sea-going air bases, providing an extended reach of the military air power of a navy. So we got there. Yeah, I ain't really gonna talk about the Yorktown. I might talk about it like later in the success of YouTube. So yeah, I'm just gonna read it. The Wright brothers' flight on December 17th, 1903 was the first sustained and controlled heavier than air-powered flight. Within 2 years, the Wright Flyer 3 was capable of controlled stable flight for more than 20 miles. Understanding the military applications to their innovations, they wrote Secretary of War William Howard Taft, the president, and offered to sell their aeroplane, the first workable fixed-wing aircraft. So they're kind of using it from the Wright brothers, from the Wright Flyer 3. Third paragraph, starting now. Glenn H. Curtiss closely followed the work of the Wright brothers and soon founded the Curtiss Aeroplane Motor Company. Alexander Graham Bell, founder of the Aerial Experiment Association, professed that Curtiss was the greatest motor expert in the country. That's hard to say. The greatest? That's kind of hard to say. Sorry. So, fourth paragraph. Captain Washington Chambers, USN, who had been appointed by the Secretary of the Navy to investigate military uses for the airplane, met with Cortes to discuss the possibility of launching an airplane from a naval warship. On November 14th, 1910, Eugene Ely, a Cortes employee, launched the Cortes Pusher from a crude platform erected on a bow of the USS Birmingham, a light cruiser. The race to arm the military with warplanes from naval vessels had begun. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating, and the AC's going. It's already been 6 minutes and I haven't even gone to the second half of the first page. In 1920, the U.S. Navy converted the USS Jupiter, a coal transport ship, to make the first aircraft carrier. Guys, the video is gonna die at 6 minutes, so I'm just gonna say my outro and finish whenever it finishes. So guys, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell, only if you want to be on the random Nezzy's squad. So let's keep on reading. The converted ship was renamed the USS Langley, and she was designated as CV-10. The first aircraft carrier. Following this conversion, I don't know how to say the word. The Navy stopped construction on the two battle cruisers and redesigned them as aircraft carriers. They were christened as the USS Lexington CV-2 and the USS Saratoga CV-3, both named for famous Revolutionary War battles and commissioned in 1927. In 1931, the first ship designed and laid down as an aircraft carrier was started at the Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company in Newport News, Virginia. Jeez, why do you need such a long name? Sorry. Launched in 1933 and commissioned on June 4th, 1934. This new aircraft carrier was christened the USS Ranger CV-4. After experience with the Ranger at sea, the Navy decided to shift to larger, faster, and more versatile carriers with this new and improved design, the USS Yorktown CV-5. Wait, what? It said CV-10. Oh, maybe it was an update to the CV-10. But what's the CV-5? Oh, that makes sense. CV-5 and was laid down on May 21st, 1934 at Newport News. The Yorktown was 824 feet 9 inches in overall length, and this and displaced 19,800 tons. I don't know how much that is in metric tons, because, yeah. Stuffy stuff. Aviator James J. Ward in his Cortese Pusher Authors collection. That's what this picture is, as you see right there. The ship had a maximum speed of 32.5 knots, 37.4 miles per hour, and an effective range of 12,500 nautical miles and 15 knots. The warship was armed with 8 5-inch 38 caliber deck guns, 4 quad .75 caliber anti-aircraft guns, and 24.50 caliber machine guns. The carrier was designed to accommodate 90 aircrafts, I should say. The Yorktown was launched on April 4th, 1936, sponsored by the First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. The ship was commissioned at the Naval Operating Base at Norfolk, Virginia, on September 30th, 1937. Captain O.N.S. D. McWhorter was given... Found it. Next page. Okay. Look at these 2 pages. Okay. Now I have to go on the other side. Sorry. Ah, my gosh. And then there's the Yorktown. USS Yorktown CV-5 in Hampton Roads, Virginia. That was in 1937. That's why the camera is banned. Command of the new aircraft carrier and her 2,217 man crew. On January 8th, 1948, the Yorktown sailed for her shakedown cruise in the Caribbean after stops in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Haiti, Cuba, and the Panama Canal zone. The ship returned to Virginia in the early March. Good thing that it did not get sunk by the Bermuda Triangle. You guys have no clue what that is? I'll tell you in a different video. Okay. By early 1938, tensions were high around the world as Germany, Italy, and Japan had already formed their alliance, and Hitler was speaking of his plans to expand Germany, particularly into Austria and Czechoslovakia. I have no clue how I know how to say that. The Yorktown began patrolling from the Chesapeake Bay to the Guantanamo Bay for the remainder of the year. In February 1939, the Yorktown, established as the flagship for the Carrier Division II, participated in Fleet Problem 20 XX, a war game to train for tactics should a war occur along her sister ship USS Enterprise CV-6. The exercise was to train for controlling the sea lanes in the Caribbean against the foreign European power and euphemism for Hitler's Germany. Ow. Okay. How is it still going? It was bleeping at 6. Okay, that's kind of confusing. The exercise, which included 144 ships, 60 aircraft, and 57 men, was witnessed by President Franklin D. Roosevelt aboard the heavy cruiser USS Houston CA-30. Both the Yorktown and the Enterprise excelled in the games, which practiced the deployment of the carrier groups with escorts, anti-submarine tactics, and attack tactics, both surface ships and shore defenses. After the Caribbean Games, the Yorktown set sail for the Pacific in April 1939, operated out of San Diego, California. But doesn't say California, so blah blah blah. Okay. By the fall of 1939, tensions in Europe were mounting. On September 3rd, Great Britain declared war on Germany after the invasion of Poland. Within hours... Ow! How am I still going? Jeez, it's been 10 minutes. The declaration. Within hours of the declaration, a German U-boat in the Atlantic torpedoed the SS Athena, a British cruise ship traveling from Scotland to Canada. More than 112 passengers and crew were killed in this attack that marked the beginning of the Battle of the Atlantic. In the next several days, both Japan and the United States reaffirmed their neutrality in the conflict between the European countries. Canada, however, declared war on Germany. With Roosevelt's enthusiastic lobbying, Congress passed the Neutrality Act of 1939 on November 4th, allowing the sale of arms and munitions to France and Great Britain. Ending the arms embargo. Through this change, outraged the isolationists in Congress. Roosevelt was determined to take a more active role in supporting the countries engaged in warfare with Germany. In April 1940, the Yorktown participated in Fleet Problem 21, an exercise in the Hawaiian waters. The war games focused on scouting techniques, convoy protection, attacks on enemy bases, and sea attack on an enemy fleet. The games also practiced high-altitude tracking by carrier aircraft. After the games, the Yorktown operated from the west coast of the United States to the Hawaiian Islands. In Europe, Germany invaded Belgium, France, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands beginning on May 10th. Jeez. In just over 1 month, France officially surrendered to Germany. The French Navy was the fourth largest in the world, and with her surrender, Britain lost her most formidable ally. By the summer of 1940, the Battle of the Atlantic was raging. From June to October 1940, 200 Allied ships were lost in the Atlantic. German U-boat commanders, proud of their accomplishment, referred to these 5 months as Die glückliche Zeit, the happy time. Almost 20 minutes. Wow. Okay. In In the summer of 1940, Germany mounted an aggressive air campaign against Britain, referred as the Battle of Britain. Eventually, Britain began to launch their own airstrikes against German targets. In the Atlantic, German U-boats continued to prey on British shipping and attack commercial and military ships in great numbers. In the United States, Roosevelt was waging a campaign for re-election against Republican challenger Wendell Willkie. Initially, Willkie charged that Roosevelt had not adequately prepared the country for war that would surely come. Willkie later resolved his position and asserted that Roosevelt was secretly trying to maneuver the United States into the European War, and a pledge he would never regret. Roosevelt professed that he would not send American boys. Oh my gosh, I'm actually sweating. Boys in any foreign wars. Nonetheless, Roosevelt initiated draft registration in October of 1940. With the rate of the U-boat attacks in the Atlantic increasing, the United States began active sea patrols to escort British and other European ships on April 20th, 1941. The Yorktown and 3 destroyers, USS Yorktown, USS Somers, and USS Janet, departed Pearl Harbor and traveled to the Atlantic via the Panama Canal. In total, the Yorktown battleship division, 3 light cruisers, and 12 destroyers were moved from the Pacific to the Atlantic for patrol duty. Though Adolf Hitler had instructed his submarines to not attack any American ships, the Atlantic Sea Patrol